What is up, everybody? It is time for another Q&A video. Now, before we get started, I do want to say, if you want a question answered in a future Q&A, comment below with your question. I pick from the YouTube comments. Also, if you're on Twitter, you can hit me up at OrangeGrow55. I pull a lot of questions from Twitter as well. So either the YouTube comments or the Twitter. Either way. So if you want a question answered in the future Q&A video, do not hesitate to drop those on the comments or on Twitter. So without further ado, let's dig right in. And the first question comes from Ryan Hines, and Ryan is asking, I have a Q&A. What do you think will be the future of California Adventure after Marvel Land is finished in 2020? Well, Ryan, thank you so much for this question. This is a fantastic question, and my view on the future of DCA has really evolved over the past, I would say, 4 or 5 months. So if you were to ask me, like, 6 months ago or something, what's your opinion of the future of this park? I would have said the future is going to be Marvel. Marvel will take over Hollywood Land and become a big aspect, a big part of this whole entire park. But really, that whole opinion has really evolved over the past few months, and the reason being is because the Sunset Theater, which, of those of you that don't know, is the theater that houses PhilharMagic. It used to have, Muppet Vision, and it had some, movie sneak peeks and stuff like that. That theater, okay, Disney recently rerouted the entrance, okay, to the main strip in Hollywood Land, and they gave it a beautiful brand new facade, electronic sign. It wasn't just like tacked on. This was actually a significant enhancement. It looks really, really good. But what that signals to me is that Disney isn't planning on retheming this to Marvel anytime soon. It seems like Hollywood Land is in it for the long term, okay? Now, that's not to say eventually it won't become something else. Anything is possible. But there's a lot of signs, okay? A lot of evidence that it's going to stay Hollywood for a very long time. So it's not going to become Marvel. What I do think they're going to do is I think they're going to embrace the Hollywood theme. So, I did a video not too long ago on these black box attractions that are rumored to be coming to California Adventure and Hollywood Studios, okay? I think California Adventure will get one of those black box attractions. It probably will not be Marvel themed. It'll probably be something else. And I think we're going to start seeing, attractions being put into this Hollywood Land area that embraces the Hollywood theme. So, I think that's kind of the direction we're going to go in. I think they're going to really kind of try to flesh out that Hollywood backlot. But I do not think it's going to be Marvel. I really do not. My opinion on that has completely changed over the past few months. Disney doesn't seem like... It just seems like with the addition of this new entrance for the Sunset Theater that they're not really anticipating it to change themes anytime soon. So, and I think that's a good thing. Marvel Land is going to have a sizable presence in DCA. It's going to have that brand new, just recently announced Avengers e-ticket. They're going to have the Spider-Man attraction and Mission Breakout. They're going to have the Ant-Man, bar or microbrewery. There's a lot of Marvel already in there, right? So I think it's good to have Hollywood Land have its own stuff and have different, IP and different movies and different stories being told. I think that's a good thing. So you don't want too much of one thing in one park. So I think keeping it Hollywood Land will really balance DCA out. So yeah, my opinion has evolved over the past 6 months. I do think the future DCA is going to be Hollywood Land and not necessarily Marvel. So thank you, Ryan. I really do appreciate the question. And the next question comes from Opinion. And Opinion is asking, should they eventually consolidate every Star Wars related to Galaxy's Edge and totally redo Tomorrowland from scratch? Well, thank you, Opinion. I do appreciate this question. And I do want to say, Ian, his name is Ian, is a friend of mine. He has a YouTube channel. He does fantastic Disney content. You guys, you have to subscribe and check this guy out. He recently did a video on the Galaxy's Edge, like how fans are sort of bashing Galaxy's Edge, and he kind of dives into that whole subject matter. Link above to that video. He's awesome. He is really, really cool. He does some fantastic content, so please check him out. He does really great work. So Ian, to answer your question, should they consolidate all the Star Wars stuff and put it in Galaxy's Edge? 1000% yes. 1000% yes, because first of all, I kind of have a little bit of OCD. If they're going to have a Star Wars land, have all the Star Wars over in the Star Wars land. I don't like this idea of having Galaxy's Edge and then having Star Tours over here in Tomorrowland and Launch Bay. It just feels really odd to me. So yeah, they should get everything over into Galaxy's Edge and consolidate 100%. I think that when they do Tomorrowland or when they renovate it, they need to go in there, and I've said this many times, they need to go in there with bulldozers and clear it all out except for Space Mountain and start from scratch. Enough of the repainting and repurposing the old 1960s Tomorrowland buildings and architecture. Go in there and really give us a new Tomorrowland. Enough of the paint schemes. We're tired of it. I don't care if it's blue and silver or gold and green. I don't care. I want new buildings in Tomorrowland. And that's what Tomorrowland needs. It needs to get rid of all of it, and it needs to get rid of all the Star Wars included and really start fresh. Okay? That's my belief. You know, I know maybe some people disagree with that. Star Tours has been an incredible attraction. It's been at the Disneyland Resort since like the mid to late 80s. It's an icon, it really is, but its time has come. And it's time for Tomorrowland to move on and really reinvent itself. So absolutely, Ian, absolutely. Tomorrowland needs a top to bottom redo, and all the Star Wars stuff needs to be removed from Tomorrowland. Definitely. Thank you so much for the question. I really do appreciate it. And the next question comes from Peter. And Peter is asking, do you think that the Disney company should stop constructing parks in different parts of the world? Granted, each Disney park that exists today has its own unique identity. Do you think eventually the company will water down its own brand? Peter, thank you so much for this question. It's a really, really great question. Yes, to answer your question, I do think Disney should hold off on adding any more locations around the world. Because like you mentioned, you touched upon in your question, you know, does it water down the brand? Yeah, it absolutely waters it down. You know, like I don't want Disney parks to become Six Flags, where anywhere you live, you have a local Disney park. That's not how it should be, right? Disney parks should maintain, you know, the reputation and the image of being destinations. And when you just plop them down in like every other city, it loses that, right? It loses that specialness, and they basically become just, you know, local parks. So yes, they should stop building more resorts around the world. You know, Disney has enough on its plate right now. You know, Disneyland Resort could use a third park eventually. Walt Disney World might even get a fifth park eventually. You know, we have Tokyo and Shanghai and Hong Kong and Paris. There's so much work that could be done, and they can add parks to those existing resorts already. Okay, and they should focus on that. Add another park to Hong Kong or add another park to Shanghai. That's fine. But don't go adding more resorts around the world. Like I said, like you said, it waters the brand down. It becomes Six Flags. And I don't want to see Disney go down that road. I really, really don't. Thank you, Peter. I really do appreciate the question. And our next question is from Mark. And Mark is asking, how much of a refurbished, redesigned Toontown would you like to see with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway coming in 2022? And when do you expect to start the refurbished redesign? Well, Mark, thank you so much for this question. Well, okay. What do I want? I would want to see Disney go into the area around, you know, Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway and really give it something new and imaginative, you know. I really wanted something different. And even like, you know, the facade to have like a different animation style, something that matches the Mickey shorts. And you know, sort of approach this in a really creative way. Unfortunately, at D23, and I mentioned this in a video a couple days ago or last week, I think, unfortunately Disney is going the boring route with Toontown and Runaway Railway. They gave us a very generic, very boring looking Toon theater facade, and I was honestly a little disappointed with that concept art. Now, it might turn out fantastic when it's all said and done, but I think that was a really boring approach. You have an opportunity right now to completely revitalize Toontown, right? And instead of going with a creative route and trying to maybe try different styles of animation and really make Toontown unique and fresh again, they kind of went the boring route, and we're just going to kind of give you a generic Toon, you know, movie theater. So I was hoping for more creativity in regard to that facade, but unfortunately we did not get that. But you know, all hope is not lost. You know, because they're really pouring in a lot of money into Toontown, there might be stuff planned that hasn't been announced yet for that general area to really freshen it up, to really beautify it and bring it to a new age. And I hope they do. Toontown is a fun little land. You know, I remember being a kid going through Toontown. It was such a magical experience. It still really is. It's a really cute, fun area. And I really hope it gets a lot of love when Runaway Railway opens. So again, I was hoping they would go a little more creative and different with the entrance to Runaway Railway. They didn't go that route, but hey, I'm an open-minded guy. I'm willing to wait and see. You never know. It might turn out really, really cool in the end, and I'm hoping it does. When do I think it will start construction? Well, if it opens in 2022, they should start pretty soon. I would guess within the next few months, probably between now and like January, they would pretty much have to start it. So we should start seeing some action pretty soon, hopefully. So we will see. Thank you so much, Mark, for the question. I really, really do appreciate it. That concludes this Q&A video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I do want to remind you, if you want to have a question answered in a future Q&A, YouTube comment it below or hit me up on Twitter at OrangeGrow55. I pick from Twitter and the YouTube comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and as always, have a magical day.